Right, I am really happy to have a new guest for my listeners today, the lovely Tara Crete. Now, Tara is host of the Sacred Valley podcast on Gnostic TV that you can see with her lovely background. But I've met Tara recently because she invited me to be part of a very special New Sacred Earth Summit that she hosted on Gnostic TV, and we're going to be telling you all about today. But before we dive into that subject, Tara, can you tell my audience a little bit about yourself, about the Sacred Valley podcast, and how you got to be doing what you are today?
Love to. Thank you so much for having me. I so enjoyed our interaction on the new Sacred Earth Summit. I had never met you before, and I instantaneously vibed with you. It's what I call we were very frequency specific. And I think the work you're doing is so amazing and the love and the energy you're putting out to the world. So I'm honored to be here. So thank you. And hello to all your listeners. You know, I created Sacred Valley during the COVID time where I think everyone has changed since then. I don't think anyone can
Yeah.
say they're the same person post COVID. And I didn't do it the first year. I did a lot of drinking alcohol floating in my pool, not gonna lie. Not proud of that, but that's how I handled the first year. The second year I kind of woke up. And through Jay and April, whom you know through Gnostic TV and formerly Spiritually Raw, they really mentored me and got me believing that you could really do a podcast. So I just jumped in and started talking with people about spiritual things. You know, Sacred Valley has like a double entendre. The first one is I lived in the Sacred Valley of Peru. And when I lived in Peru, I pretty much changed my life and I saved my life. I lived in the jungle of Peru. I worked with shamans. I did sacred ceremonies. I went into the Andes and worked with more shamans. I did a lot of really, really deep spiritual work that ultimately ended up saving my life, thank goodness. And so the Sacred Valley of Peru was a special place. But what I realized through all these ceremonies and what I learned there, Catherine, was we all have a sacred valley from within. And a sacred valley is, some people might call it a funk. I'm just coming out of one. I think when you and I were on, I told you I'm like, I am in a sacred valley right now.
Mm.
And I call them sacred valleys because when we come out of these funks, these valleys of life, these deep, dark places, we come out with so much wisdom. We come out as better people. We come out with new habits, and they really are to be cherished, even though they're difficult and they can be long and dark and deep. So I thought I would call this Sacred Valley because I know that I'm not the only person who has them. Maybe even a dark night of the soul. That could be something
Yeah.
else to call it. I think I just had another one. I thought I was done with those, but apparently not. So yeah, so I began Sacred Valley, and then it kind of morphed into a little bit more political because here in America and everywhere in your country, there's a lot of things going on.
Mm.
I kind of got caught up in that energy. And what I'm realizing is right now, it's so important what we focus on and where we put our energy, how we spend our time, which habits we, engage in every day. And that tapping into that as much as I wasn't doing me any good. It was feeding something in me, but it wasn't feeding the sacred part of myself. So now I've got Sacred Valley podcast on Gnostic TV, pretty much solely. Jay and April have been asking me to put my show there, and now I'm interviewing. Last week I had interviews with like a psychic medium. I had a channeler who channeled this beautiful message of Saint Germain, and you literally feel different after you hear it. And it was specifically designed for whoever's going to listen to it, which is really special. So I'm just kind of shifting back to my roots and just talking about important things, uplifting conversations, and soul stirring interviews, which is why you were on my show.
Oh, I love it. I think there's so many points there, Tara, that I just really resonate with. And one of the things that I've heard a lot, and certainly I've been on this journey myself, and I think a lot of my listeners are, is about how you get this balance between staying informed so you can make better decisions for yourself and your loved ones, but not putting energy to what you don't want. And I didn't really know a lot about the New Earth movement and all the criticism behind it, but I've recently really sort of clicked into place that a lot of people think that you mustn't ever think about anything negative because you're going to bring it into your reality without really understanding that we need critical thinking, we need open thought, but it's where you put your energy and emotion that is really going to pull those things into your reality. And we had quite a lot of chat about that on the Sacred New Earth and the chat that we did about the Sacred New Earth. So how did you come about to put this summit together, and why? Why was this so important for you?
Well, one of the things I wanted to do, Catherine, was to breathe a fresh breath of intention into an earth that we would like to create. I kind of feel like the one we've created, I don't feel like I had any intention in it, at least
Mhm.
not knowingly. And if it was, I don't know what the intention was. Because I know if we think about if we were going to live on a new earth, what do we want it to look like? And it would be really different from what we're living in now, for sure. There's a lot of beauty. There's a lot of beauty here. There's a lot of amazing things, but I want more of that. I want more
Yeah.
sacredness. So why not have our earth be sacred and have deep, meaningful conversations and interactions with people? So I brought several different people on, from healers and mystics and personalities who have had their own sacred valleys in life and have a really strong point of view as to what their world would look like when we create. Because I do believe we are birthing a new earth. I do. I think we're heading into a new place. I mean, what a time to be alive. Is there any more exciting time than right now, with so much turmoil? But, we live in a world of dualism. So if there's turmoil, there's ecstasy as well. Like, we have everything right now, and it's really amazing. So all the more important to be deliberate and to breathe this intention. And I thought, what a great way just to put that little form of energy out there and let it take hold. So I invited only 6 people, because if you've gone to these, if you've been a part of, I'm sure you've been invited to be a part of speaking summits and whatnot, sometimes the speakers can get lost. And
Yes.
there's so many of them, there's a whole sea of them, and they're all really valuable and have wonderful things to say. I've made each talk about 20 or so minutes, because our attention spans, as you know, are not as long as it used to be. So it's just a really nice, quick little summit so that people can tap in, feel better. I know when they hear my conversation with you, people who don't even know who you are just gonna flock to you and love, the message that you gave. So I just wanted to do my little part and put an intention, because I really believe that the energy behind our intentions can take on so much form, and then it can just keep growing from there.
I love it. I'm going to share my screen a minute, Tara, just to show
Sure.
people what they can expect. Now, below in the video below, there will be a link, a direct link to get access to the summit. But if you get to the home page, you'll scroll down to the events and you will see um, Tara's summit here. And I won't click on it now because it will trigger all the YouTube algorithms and everything for
Okay.
sharing, but you just literally watch, and I can click on here and show you without the sound up, but you've got a great lineup of speakers, and I have been lucky enough to listen to virtually all the interviews here. So you've got a really fantastic mix of people here. I mean, you must have learned quite a lot yourself and sort of pulled different bits of the jigsaw puzzle, because what I love, you can see some of the speakers here when you sign up. You'll be able to flick through and see all the speakers. But there's a few things I love about what you've done, Tara. One, you've got a fantastic balance there.
Mm.
And secondly, because the platform that Jay and April have put together on Gnostic, and you're working with them on that, it's evergreen, so people can keep coming back and find it. So once they've purchased it, they can keep coming back, keep listening. And I've already found that going back to listen to a couple of the interviews, I'm getting more out of it the second and the third time. How important was that for you?
Yeah, it means so much, because like I said, if there's something that you want to be able to go back to and listen to, and something that speaks to you, or maybe now that some people are going to, maybe they'll hire Ashley to do a shamanic session over her. I had a session with her. She's amazing. And these are
Wonderful.
people that, aren't very well known. They're not like famous people, and they don't necessarily want to, but they have a really strong message, and I resonated with them, and I just thought they would do so well. And to maybe cross-reference with people, maybe you'll have some of them on your show or whatnot. It's really just about sharing something really positive. And again, if your audience is going to tap into this summit, I think it's what, $44, but if they put your code in, they get like half off. So it's only $22 American.
Wow.
Um, what a great way to, to put their intention. So there's like layers of intentions here that go, and then maybe they'll share it with someone else. It doesn't cost anything just to go on Gnostic and to like listen to some interviews. My Sacred Valley podcast interviews are going to be loaded up this week. We're just starting it. I'm just moving everything over from Rumble and YouTube. So
Yeah.
there. So yeah, it meant a lot to me to do it. And it's like I said, it's just a really nice way for me to wake up in the morning and think, where do I want to put my intentions today? I'm going to have a really great conversation with someone spectacular. And as you know, as a host, we always learn from the people we speak to. I always walk away with a smile on my face, and I've been improved by their company, no doubt.
I love it. That's exactly why I did it, because, we've got so much to sort of learn. And actually, by having these conscious conversations, we are really putting our intention and our money where our mouth is, so to speak. And one of the things I love about Gnostic is there's so much free content on there, but also with these summits, there is an energy exchange in terms of a purchase. And I think that's quite important in the world we're living in now, because there is a lot of free content out there, and you and I have been providing a lot of it along with many other content providers. Oh, my dog's just woken up in the back and having a good old scratch. But I think, we've got all these different belief systems, and when we actually really put our intent on something where you're with a positive group of people, and every single person that you've interviewed in the summit has got some really great gifts to share, and people will resonate with them, and they'll also have them to come back to at times in their life if something perhaps happens and they need that extra support.
Mhm.
So the energy exchange, I do think in today's world is quite important. Do you, Tara?
I really do. And I'll give you an example. I quit Netflix several months ago
Mm,
because it just tipped the scales for me. It went so far into wokeism where every show had, gay people on it. Nothing wrong with them. I love gay people. I have many people in my life. We just don't want it jammed down our throats, do we? We don't
yeah.
want it. It's not every single family that has transgendered gay people and men wearing tutus and, women wearing beards. And it just got to be too much. I don't like that. Here in America, you may have heard about the big Bud Light debacle with Dylan
Yeah.
Mulvaney being this man pretending to be a woman. And we've really made a massive effect. And that for me was so enlightening. And I thought, because as one individual in a government, right? We're 350 million people in America. I certainly don't feel like I have any power because
Mm,
our selected officials are not people that, even though I may have voted for some of them, they don't represent our points of view. So when I saw what happened with Bud Light, I thought, wow, there's a way for people to come together and to have the power of us. This is how we can make changes. So, right now I always say if you want to be really pure and clean and not be involved with any of this nonsense that's going on, you almost have to put yourself in a dark closet
mm.
and cover
Yeah.
yourself with a blanket, but even that might be made in China, so you just never know. It's really hard. So I just pick and choose where my money goes, what I contribute to. And the latest thing was Netflix that I stopped. So that was in America at 17 or $18 a month. I would rather spend $22 on a summit like this and feel better and feel uplifted and share this with people than talk about a ridiculously woke publication or film that just got produced on a platform like Netflix.
I'm so with you, because it ruins it for everyone. It ruins it for, I think what so many people aren't realizing about the whole woke agenda is it's nothing to do with stopping individuals being who they want to be on. It's when they're actually really um pushing people to try and be different. People should have the right to be who they want, so long as they're not hurting everyone else. But we all know there's a huge agenda behind a lot of this. And I think for me, I've been so much more conscious over the last few years. I'm absolutely not perfect. Oh my goodness, no. But I'm much more conscious about where I'm putting my money, because that is a form of energy. And what I'm loving with the network that you and I are sort of part of is the conversations are so uplifting. It's people that are really doing things. You've been through this journey yourself, and we'll all continue to go through it. And you've learned so much for your experiences, and then you're passing on that wisdom and knowledge, because we can fast track other people so they don't have to have put out such difficult lessons.
I totally agree with that. And what I believe is that the difficulties that maybe you and I went through, the valleys that we went through, we helped pave the way. And just like people before us did, I
Mm,
really don't think that, let's say if someone has a broken heart, I don't necessarily know that you have to move to Peru and live in a jungle under a mosquito net and do sacred ceremonies. I recommend it if it speaks to
mm.
you. But, you know, I had to do a lot of deep, dark work to find myself and to save myself. And I think now the people that are coming up behind us are gonna have it a little bit easier. And the energies are different than they were back in the 90s. I was living in Peru back when doing ayahuasca was so weird and so strange, just like everything else. Like I was a vegan in the 90s and people thought it was weird and strange because no one was a vegan in the 90s. How can you survive? How can you, yeah,
Yeah.
what about your muscle, you know, your protein, you're not getting enough protein. And I was like, do I look like I'm lacking in protein? So yeah, now the word ayahuasca, I mean, it's almost become a household word.
Very
Uh,
much so. Yeah.
yeah, plant medicine. I mean, unfortunately, the FDA is studying psilocybin and the effects that it can have, and ayahuasca alone helps people with PTSD, you know, heroin addiction, nicotine, alcohol. It's an amazing medicine, and I benefited from that for sure. And I wouldn't change it. I mean, my time in Peru, I wouldn't be the same woman without choosing to go there instead of maybe speaking to a traditional therapist to heal my heart, or, you know, whatever other method there was out there. I chose to do something which is normal for me. I don't mean to be an outlier. I really never planned on it because honestly, I think, Catherine, it would be easier to be a little bit more mainstream and normal. It's just never been my way. So I say pick your way, pick your path. But you know, I think it's important right now for everyone to start becoming the best they can be. I don't know that I know a lot of people like a lot of wonderful people in my world that are consciously on a spiritual path or trying to learn how to be better, how to evolve. And they don't have to. They have free will. They can do whatever they like. But that's what I want to see in a new earth. I want to see more consciousness. I want to see how we all know that we have strands connected, and whatever you think or feel about yourself or someone else, they feel it as well. If we had those lines, if we could see them, I think we would all choose differently on a daily basis. And I think it would be such an upgrade. I can't hear you.
My dog was scratching, so I
There
moved
we go. I
myself.
was like, I
Yeah,
hear you.
I love it. Just by you asking me to be part of it, it made me think and ask some different questions. And I think this is really crucial at times like this, Tara. You know, by thinking about us all putting our attention on and thinking, well, what does a sacred new earth look like to me? It makes us, it drives change in a positive direction. It builds connection. It very much builds connection. It really empowers people to really think and put their, you know, shift their attention. We in society, we've been so pushed to think about what we don't want and be attached to drama. And, you know, we all like watching something good on or listening to a little bit of drama. But equally, it's all about the balance. And I think what we're doing now is we're shifting the balance back to a much more connected. You mentioned the silver flames, and you and I are both passionate nature lovers and animal lovers, and I think most of the audience are as well. And I think people really are realizing now, and you know, the lockdowns were actually backfired, I think, in a lot of ways, because it really made people understand how important connection is, how important reassessing the lifestyle and the corporate madness that so many of us have been encouraged to be in doesn't serve us anymore. And actually, look how many people now have never gone back to their life pre lockdowns. I'm being careful how many times on YouTube I say the C word. But you know, so many people that it beforehand didn't think it was possible to work from home, didn't think it was possible to change what they were doing, didn't think it was possible to stand up for their rights. And all these things have now come into people's awareness. So the questions you ask in your summit, I think everyone's going to benefit from so much listening to these conversations and really starting to ask themselves these questions.
I really hope so. I think this is where we're headed. I think we're becoming more conscious as beings, whether it means being aware of how nature interacts with us and the importance of it to have that relationship, or understanding that our animals are such conscious beings and we don't want to harm them or hurt them. And there's so many different ways that we can make that better, from our food supply and or not eating them at all. So I think that collectively, more than ever, we just need to live more intentionally, because like you said, isn't it clear now? It's so clear to so many of us what they've done. I even go back, I can span back to like the beginning of the 20th century, when the Rockefellers, you know, took over the education system, when they literally obliterated the natural path society, and
Yeah.
they had to bring in their petroleum based medicine, which now everyone is on and no one gets healed. They become patients for life. They wanted us indoctrinated in a chair so that we can memorize useless information instead of understanding and realizing the Christ light inside of us and being able to, move things with our mind. I mean, we've really been brainwashed, myself included, to an extent that is hard to imagine. And I don't even think I understand it yet. But I'm just looking past over these past 120 or so years. And I thought, wow, imagine, I think we really are truly breaking out of a matrix. And the new Sacred Earth is part of it. Your talks are part of it. We're all waking up from a really long slumber. Some of us taking longer than others. And I'm always, I'm kind of like in a paradox because everyone believes in free will. I really believe that we have God-given, universe-given, prime source-given free will. But yet the people who are sleeping are messing with my freedom, so it's like this dichotomy. I never really know how to okay, so I'm frustrated by that, but I also respect and honor that you get to sleep through this whole process if you want. You don't ever have to wake up. You don't ever have to see the world the way I'm seeing it. But I would love for people to, because I do believe we could be in a more sacred space. But yeah, it's really exciting. I would not miss this time. As I said, what a time to be alive. I would not want to not be here. I think we all chose to be here. Our souls came here for a reason. And I can't wait to see the ending. I want to watch the movie. I just hope
Yeah,
Netflix isn't playing it.
absolutely. I'm enjoying being in the movie. And I think we are in a time, everyone talks about the most difficult time in history. As a mother, I completely disagree with that. With two children who are conscription age, should they choose, they won't go down that route. But I'd rather be alive now anytime than being in the First World War, the Second World War times. So I think, it's all perception, isn't it? And obviously, where I live in a nice remote area of England, away from the hustle and bustle, is very different to if I was living in other parts of the world. But the beauty is the opportunities available to us all are so extreme now. They're just amazing. I look back at the life I've had and the opportunities that I had that my parents never have. And now it's just so wonderful to look at the opportunities that my children have got. It's also horrifying to see how many things have been potentially taken away. But I strongly believe that the younger generations, they see things differently, they feel things, and this beautiful connection back now between people understanding the connection between the heart and the head, and how the fear response comes very much from the head energy, and how if we can, there's so many beautiful ways that people can connect back in and rebalance that head heart balance, which is then takes their viewpoint to a completely different way. We're so used to black or white thinking, this side or that side, that's it or that's it. But actually, there's so many different opportunities in between. And once you sort of start to get into that heart brain coherence, those start opening up for you.
It's so interesting you say that because I'm having so many of those conversations very organically with people on my shows. My recent interviews, we're talking about that long journey between the 12 inches or so. It's like the
Mm,
longest journey. But we've lived in a society where we were valued for our brains and we
yeah,
were valued for striving, not thriving. We were valued for struggling. Oh, you have 3 jobs. And we've been kind of led to believe that, oh, that's a hardworking person. Well, the reality is we shouldn't have to work that hard and we shouldn't be giving half of our money to the governments. It's the biggest form of theft we've ever seen in our lives. But the more we can wake up to it, we really do have the power. Our power has been completely unignited. They put a wet blanket on top of us because we don't realize, and I don't even know the full realization, but I do know that we're far more powerful than what we have been told. And imagine if we can decalcify our pineal gland, if we can turn off the television and put down these things, these cell phones have been, talk about a curse and a blessing at
yeah.
the same time because they can be so wonderful, but they're so destructive. I don't even read as many books, Catherine, as I used to
Mm.
because my attention span has shortened because of these things. So we have a lot of work to do, myself included. But as you said, there's so many opportunities. There's so many things that we can choose, but we have to be conscious. And I think today, I know people here in my country, if you go to a store, we have a store here called Walmart. And it's a
Mm.
big discounted store. You've probably heard of them. And I walk around and I look at people and they look different than they used to. They're unhealthy. They're very large. They don't look good. They don't have a lot of life in their eyes. They're
Mm.
kind of like zombie-like. And many of them don't even speak English anymore where I am, which I think is awful. I speak different languages, and when I go to a country, I love to learn a little bit of the language. And I think it would just be nice to have a base language here, but everything's changing. And I think that people aren't even realizing that they're just in a survival mode. We're in like the
Yeah.
first chakra of life, when we need to break free of that. We have everything within us right now to step out of it. So I know that people listening to this and listen to our shows, some people are really struggling. They're having a really hard time. I would just say take one tiny step in a different direction. You don't have to quantum leap. I'm a life coach. So with my clients, I tell them, I don't believe in quantum leaping, meaning going from being in a really dark valley to tomorrow morning you waking up and there being sunshine everywhere. That's not very realistic. But if you just take a tiny little step, do something different, something small, take that first step, the universe is going to dance with you and it will respond. And you can't sit on your couch and expect your life to change. I mean, I'm saying this because I think I've done that before.
Yeah.
Thinking I'm just going to law of attraction my way out of a situation or just think positively.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more than that.
I love it. I love it. So everyone, the link for how to connect with Tara will be below. The link to how to support Tara and myself, because I'm one of the participants on the summit, is below. Please do take a look. Please do share with your friends. I actually think things like this make wonderful, wonderful gifts for people for birthdays and things. So let us know your thoughts. We really want feedback. We're open to running other ones that you want as well, that you would find. But I really feel this is the future, where you've got places in one place where people can easily find, come back to, have the information there and just use it. It's there for you when you need it. Any final words from you, Tara?
No, I was just thinking, they could always give something up, like quit Netflix or quit something, and then take that money for 1 month and purchase this. That's an action step. That's an intentional step into creating something different. So that's just an idea that I had. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing your energy with me again. Always a pleasure. And thank you to your viewers and to anyone else who's going to be, tapping in and listening. I really appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. And Tara's content, the Sacred Valley podcast, is being uploaded over the next week. So if you come back, depending when you actually see this one, if you're not finding it straight away, don't worry, it will be there very soon. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. This helps us spread the word and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. And above all, stay curious and stay free.